Hey everyone, if you're at this video, you've probably witnessed the end of the Natlan Archon Quest. Now the Archon Quest has been pretty divisive in nature. I've seen many people love it, I've seen many people hate it. I'm personally on the love it side, and this entire video is basically why I love it, and also my rating and my ranking of this Archon Quest among all the Archon Quests that we've had in this game. So this isn't just Act 5, this is taking the entire Archon Quest from the moment we stepped into Natlan till the moment we saw, spoilers obviously, but till the moment we saw Capitano, or the captain, sacrifice himself. So Natlan as a whole has been pretty fun for me. I have really liked the new direction that Genshin have gone to. It's very lively in nature, it's not very serious. I mean, even though the major plot of Natlan consisted of death, of war, of the abyss and all, but still the nature of the quest, the character interactions, it wasn't very serious. It wasn't very, I don't know, gloomy like sometimes Fontaine was. Fontaine as a whole felt very gloomy in nature, it felt very dark, and I think that's why many people like that, because it dived into deeper aspects, it dived into darker themes, something Natlan just took and churned it and made it into something you'd see in Demon Slayer or any other hype anime or something like that, which I'm not against because it's a good change. It's like you have this game going on for 4 years and how to keep it fresh. So each region feels alive on its own. You have Inazuma, which again is very gloomy, but then after Inazuma you had Sumeru, which is very bright, very homely in nature. And what I liked about Natlan was that it gave the same vibes, the character interactions, Kachina, Mualani, Xilonen, Mavuika, obviously, Iansen. All these characters felt like like that you could rely on them. Kinich, Ororon was very I mean, you can rely on Ororon as well, and obviously Citlali and all, but it felt like a huge family. It felt like the Sumeru family that we have, unlike Fontaine, where people are divided by their backgrounds, by their class status, by their organizations, like like Linny, Lynette and Fremine. They're from the House of the Heart, so even though they may be friends with Navia, Clorand, Chevreuse, but you wouldn't see them interact with them in a way that family interacts, like in a way that maybe Mualani and Kachina interact. It's that bond that you cannot find in Fontaine characters, or you cannot find in Inazuman characters, which is something that you would only find in Sumeru and now Natlan. So the quest structure was very easy and very simple to understand, and I think that's why many people did not like this as well. But for me, for once, I was super glad that the entire Archon quest was straightforward. There were no loopholes, there were no unnecessary twists, there were no shockers, or what should I say, twists and turns. Basically, they were not diverting from the main story or not adding lore just for the sake of it, like like the Narwhal lore that we got in Fontaine, which is next to useless, I think. I don't know why the Narwhal lore was introduced. I mean, it was probably a way to introduce Skirk and all, but so I'm glad that Natlan kept it simple and straightforward. It was not very complicated in nature. It did not have this grand scheme where like Focalor is planning something, or Rukadavata is planning something, or A is planning something. No, it's just simple. Mavuika wants to win the war, she wants to end the abyss calamity, and that's it. That's your goal. That's the goal for all the 5 acts of the Archon quest, which is nice, which is easy to understand, which is simple in nature. Coming to each act, Act 1 delved into Kachina. Act 2 was Mualani. Act 3 was Chasca, or no, Act 3 was Ororon and Citlali. Act 4 was Chasca, and then Act 5 is Mavuika. One character that I did not like that actually got shafted was Kinich. I mean, even Iansen got an interlude chapter which is focused on her. Kinich got sidelined pretty bad, and that's one of the few things that I did not like about the Archon Quest. Like, I felt that they could have used Kinich and Ajaw more often. It also hurts that after Act 2, Kinich was unvoiced in every Natlan Archon Quest. Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, he's unvoiced because of the voice actor strike and all, which is another different topic, but I'm not going to go into that. It's kind of a complicated matter, which I can't really do anything about it. So story-wise, I think Kinich was sidelined, which is something that I did not like. I wish Kinich was used more often. But apart from that, I felt every character got their fair share of screen time, and each act was devoted to a certain character, except Kinich. Kachina's trial was very good. The initial plot where we saw a glimpse of the Ode of Resurrection and how it works. Then we saved Kachina, Mualani threw us a party, we met Ajaw. So I think meeting Ajaw was the first glimpse at what the Abyss can do to a person. She was corrupted by the Abyss. We cleansed her, but then still she perished, and it just set in stone that this is serious. People can die. It's not like like other games. It's serious. So Act 1 and Act 2 talked about that. Act 3 and Act 4 talked about the war. Act 4, which I still think is one of the best Archon Quest and one of the best main quests in the game in general. Like, the way they did Act 4 is top tier. Is like, I think it's the best quest in the game. That entire war sequence where you're just thrown into the war, and if you were me, you played it without warning. There's no warning that that you're going straight into a war and your actions will have consequences, but you just get thrown into it. You're seeing people fighting. Initially you're seeing people winning, tribes winning, you're winning against the Abyss, but as the Abyss forces grow, then you see calamity striking the tribes. You see Saurians die, you see tribe members die, and then there's also a death counter. It's like you see the amount of Saurians dying, and those, like, the lives that get killed or the lives that you save impacted your game world. Like, if you do not save Toto dies. Toto is out of the game. Similarly, there's one guy, and I think the Signs of Canopy, who was just staring out. I think his name was Vichama or something, and he dies in the war. So when you go back to the Signs of Canopy, you do not see Vichama at his usual position, but you see a bouquet of flowers there. And I think that's what nailed it. Like, there may be a ton of NPCs that I may have overlooked in Act 1 and Act 2, but after Act 4 they're just out of the map, and I don't even know who these people are. So, which is kind of, I think it's a nice little detail that Genshin did with the Natlan Archon Quest, is that your actions matter. And this was shown in much more detail when we got Act 5, where the world quest that you do, that many people do either after the Archon Quest or don't do at all, world quest mattered. If you did the world quest, characters from the world quest showed up in the finale of the Archon Quest, and it's just something straight out of The Witcher 3, or out of Cyberpunk, or something out of a CD Projekt Red game. CDPR, the first game that I played was obviously Witcher 3, and I really liked the fact that the side quests that we do in Witcher 3 affect the main story. Like, if you do not do Yennefer's quest, or if you do not do Triss's quest, or if you do not do Kiara's quest, or Dijkstra's quest, it will impact the main story. You will not see these characters later. These characters may die, or they may not play a huge role in your journey, but if you help them, they potentially help you in the end, in the final mission. And that's something that Natlan did as well. Like, if you do everybody's tribal quest, if you do Xilonen, Kinich, Mualani, everybody's tribal quest, NPCs from those quests appear in the finale. If you do the Ochka Natlan world quest, or you do, I don't know, other world quests, I don't think the Balder world quest, basically. Not the Balder, the little one. I've named my little saurian Balder, so I just call him Balder. But yeah, if you do those world quests, those NPCs also shown up. Bona and the dragon Okanuik or Okuik or whatever his name was. But it's such a nice detail that they've added, like, that the world quests matter. It's still very small in scale compared to Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk. But if this is the way, I really hope that in the future going forward, we have things like this. We have quests like this where where doing the world quest impacts the main story, where little details appear, so that that you feel acknowledged, that all right, I've done this main quest and it's good. So apart from that, overall cutscenes were phenomenal. Mavuika is phenomenal as an Archon. She is probably one of my favorite Archons in the game right now, alongside Nahida. Natlan is my favorite region in the game, alongside Sumeru. So obviously Mavuika and Nahida share the same spot. As I said before, it just felt straight out of a shonen anime, something like something like Demon Slayer or Fate, Unlimited Blade Works, or I don't know, any other hype anime that you watch. I haven't seen a lot, but I think there's Jujutsu Kaisen, I think, or something like that. I mean, I don't know the story, but it's something straight out there. It's something that that would appeal to majority of the crowds. It's something filled with hype moments. It's filled with flashy cutscenes. It's filled with the power of friendship. Those kind of tropes, which is not bad. I mean, we've seen it that stories like these work. We have Avengers Endgame. The Natlan Archon Quest felt partly like an Avengers Endgame moment, where where all the tribe members what should I say, came together to help, to bolster up the Mavuika and the Traveler, to help them, to support them spiritually, because they cannot venture into the abyssal realm, they cannot venture into the Night Kingdom. And it's just, you gotta understand that even though they're not there physically, spiritually they were there, and it was signified when you were fighting Goseiroth, I think his name was, or the sovereign Pyro dragon or whatever. And you see all these characters' messages when you destroy the pillars and all, and it's just you see that they are with you. So overall, I think they really nailed it quite well. I was really happy with the quest. It finally, Fontaine did not fill me with the adrenaline rush that you get even when you fought the narwhal. I don't know, I just felt that many of the concepts introduced in Fontaine were underused, like the RK system where you had Numa and OCI. I felt that it wasn't used that much. And then you have the class system, which wasn't explored. Like you have a bunch of people living in the sewers, but nobody cares about them. I wish they had incorporated that into the main story somehow. Like I wish we would have gotten a playable character from the sewers, and they would have shown like how life is down there, and how the rich live up in Fontaine while the poor are suffering, something like that. Which there was, I felt Fontaine was more focused on Farina and Evelette, which, I mean, it's okay, I don't really care. But yeah, why I think Natlan is better than all the other Archon quests is that it's contained in the region itself, and it's just, from one tribe to another. So it just feels like, you're roaming the region. With other quests, like, Inazuma, the Inazuma Archon quest was basically 2 acts, which was kind of lackluster. But Sumeru, you had to go to the desert, you ventured to the desert, so you're leaving the forest part, you're leaving the main area of the quest. Similarly, in Fontaine, you had to go to the fortress of Meropide, the Act 4 part where you're in that prison cycle, the prison samsara. And that was one of the most boring quests ever. Like, I don't think that, I don't know what the purpose of that quest was, apart from the fact that, we got to know that primordial water is rising. So compared to that, the Natlan Archon quest felt contained because, in each quest, the focus was the abyss. They were not getting distracted by other stuff. Everything was focused on the abyss, which is nice because, you have a ultimate goal in mind. After that, characters. As I said, every character feels homely, every character feels friendly, so they all feel like a family. Mualani and Kachina's bond feels like they're genuine sisters. Chasca and Koichi had this really great character arc, and Koichi's death actually hurt a lot, and it gave Chasca really good character development. I mean, I like Chasca a lot, and even though, like, in Act 5 and all, she was on the lower side, but I would have liked if she gets more footage in the future, because she is a character that I think we can explore a lot. After that, Kinich and Ajaw's relationship is hilarious. Ororon and Citlali are amazing, and I think they're going to be fan favorites of Natlan. Ororon and Citlali especially. Mavuika is an Archon that actually feels like an Archon. I mean, we have Raiden Shogun, which I agree also feels like an Archon, but the nature of Raiden Shogun is that she lives in seclusion. She does not interact a lot with people, and even when she interacts, people revere her. People are, they see her as this almighty god, and not somebody like a friend, which Mavuika is. Mavuika acts like a friend, and even if people are like, there are some people, or as we saw in Act 5, like, people were surprised by the Archon's visit at Mualani's final party. So even then, Mavuika was insistent that, treat myself as a friend. I am your friend. I'm not here as a Pyro Archon. And I think that thing about Mavuika really stands a lot, is that, she, even though she has the title, she's very humble in nature. She's very down to earth, and she's just there for everybody because she is compassionate. She cares about her people. She cares about her job as well. She cares about her nation. She has good leadership skills. She's very strong. Honestly, I think she's the strongest Archon till date, both kit-wise, lore-wise. And all in all, I really liked her story where she was the previous, where Natlan. I really like the concept when Natlan's Archons are basically humans who rise to get that power, unlike actual gods. So Mavuika at one point was a human, so she knows how people feel, and that's why I think Natlan's Archons are strong, are humble. And it may be the case with previous Archons as well. We don't know all the other Archons, how their nature was, but if they're anything like Mavuika, it would have been amazing. I really liked the ending of Act 5. The captain appeared, and he basically stole the show. We get a lore dump about the captain, where he carried the souls, and it was quite touching. It was quite, I think all the Harbingers have been really amazing. And it's kind of sad that some harbingers like the Senora or Captain get to suffer a fate which is like which makes them unplayable, honestly. And it just fits the story. I know it's really good, but then you always feel like that you wanted to explore them more, you wanted to get to know them more. I think Captain was a great character, although we got to know that his name was Thrain. He was one of the legendary Natlan heroes who helped Natlan 500 years ago. He's been carrying souls for 500 years. And alongside that, he's been serving the Tsaritsa as a Fatui Harbinger, number 1 of the Fatui Harbinger. And now he just, he just saw the ruler of death, basically Tvat's goddess of death, in the eye and said, "You can't do anything to me because your curse is in effect," which is probably the most epic moment any character could do. It was pure cinema. It was pure epicness. Just those 2 dialogues the captain said, where I'm gonna create this paradox. Now what you're gonna do? What are you going to do with this? It was like what's the phrase? I don't remember the phrase, but it's something like that where where you're so overconfident and where you're so confident. It's just amazing. It's just so nice. But apart from that, that's why all of the reasons. I mean, if I talk, I could probably go into a 2-hour, 3-hour lecture about it, just reiterating stuff about how I like this, about how I like that. But overall, Natlan's Archon Quest really hit me well because I saw it as something I would have enjoyed. Like the media that I enjoyed 10 years ago, which which revolved around the power of friendship, which had fun stuff, epic moments. It didn't rely on the deeper aspects of stuff, kind of like Beyblade, Pokemon, stuff like that. I know where you have that epic scene where everybody just unites and their spirits combine and their auras combine and you have this epic fight. And that's what Natlan felt, and it made me feel happy. It wasn't very emotional like Sumeru or Fontaine. It wasn't very lore heavy like Sumeru or Fontaine. It was just a simple, straightforward, fun adventure where we beat up monsters with our newly made friends who have insanely cool powers and who synergize really well. And you're all led by Mavuika, the hottest, strongest Archon. And also the Traveler. The Traveler finally felt like a really good protagonist, like a protagonist. In Fontaine, the Traveler was sidelined, which is, I think, something that I did not like as well. Why are we the ones? Like, Fontaine was basically Farina and Nebulet's story. Traveler had no part in it. Like, literally nothing. I don't think the Traveler did anything. I mean, they solved the mystery, which was one thing. But apart from that, it didn't feel like the Traveler was really important in Fontaine. In Sumeru, there are hints because you have the Flower Knight, the Knights of Flower in Nahida's teaser, and Nahida implies that you are the knight that's going to save Nahida. The riding in the flower carriage, and I was met by the knights and all. So over there, the Traveler still feels important, still feels really appreciated. In Natlan, you're just a celebrity, especially after the war, and it just really makes you feel so proud and happy. It actually feels that that the Traveler is important, and the cutscenes with the Traveler were phenomenal. Once again, the Traveler was unvoiced, so it kind of hit. The epicness level might have hurt many people, including me. It really dimmed the value, and it's something that we cannot do anything about it. So we just gotta take this L, especially English players. I mean, people who enjoy Japanese and all, they're all good, but For English dubs like me, um, it was a L that we had to take, but still, it was pretty epic. Like, just imagine if the Traveler was voiced, like if my Lumine was voiced, that cutscene would have been purely epic. But apart from that, like I said, the Traveler felt important, and it just felt like a fun story, fun adventure. Now, I don't know how Snezhnaya is going to be. I just wish it does not go back to the dark side, but we're nearing the end, so it's eventually going to go back there, because people love dark stories nowadays. I had that phase too. I really enjoyed dark stories, but then over time, gradually, I just realized, I do not need that much darkness in my life. Give me something light. I want something comical in nature, or make something, boyish in nature. Like you have those superhero stuff. That's fun. That's fun to watch. So overall, Natlan just felt like something like that. Something a 12-year-old me would have enjoyed. And it reignited the 12-year-old in me. The exploration was amazing. I really liked how in the end we used all the Saurian's powers. The Petlisaur, the Yumkasaurs, I don't know what the water one is called, but it's something Saurus. And then we used the Ictimisaurus, the Quetzalsaurus or something, Kekal, or the bird basically. So overall it was very, very good. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how the Collective of Plenty will be, because that's one tribe that we have not visited yet, and I'm really intrigued to see how they are. We did meet the chief of the Collective of Plenty, and he looks like a macho man, like somebody straight out of Mexican wrestling, with the mask and all. Kind of reminds me of that one character, and I think Despicable Me 2, I think was it. And I don't know, with the mask and the mustache and all, it was hilarious. But I'm really excited to see how the Collective of Plenty will be. But overall, the Natlan Archon Quest was peak. I believe that we might get a continuation into the Archon Quest, because the Pyronosis is still with Mavuika. So I don't think the journey in Natlan has ended yet. Maybe the Saritsa will send somebody else to get the Gnosis, and maybe we could get an Act 6 or a new story altogether in Natlan. I would not mind a new story in Natlan, because I really love these characters. Adding to the fact that I have all the Natlan characters that have been released up till now, like every single one of them. So I know their personalities, I know how they play, I know how they interact with people, and I just love this family. It's kind of like the Sumeru family. So I would not mind another Archon Quest in Natlan. But that's it for now. If I want to rank, I would obviously rank it at the one alongside Sumeru's Archon Quest. But yeah, I would rank it pretty high, because it is one of my favorite Archon Quests in the game, and I think it just made me have fun, unlike the previous Archon Quest, where I did like the story, where it was very emotional, but I did not have fun. There was no fun aspect there. We had the fun in the first two acts where we solved the murder and all, but after that it got quite serious. So there was no fun aspect. Here it was very fun, even with Mavuika, like after the Traveler and Mavuika destroy the dragon Gaseroth or something, and Lumine's like, how are we gonna get back? We're gonna pray. And Mavuika still has her humorous side, that she has a faster, and then she calls her Flame Strider or her bike, and it's that perfect balance between that I really liked. Now, some people may not like that, but for me, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot. So that is where I'm going to end this video. Let me know how you liked Natlan. Also remember, this is an opinion, like a review, but an opinion as well. I am not enforcing it. If you did not like Natlan, that's okay. That's 100% okay. But yeah, don't come at me and try to tell me that why I should not like Natlan, because I love Natlan. So if I like Natlan and you don't like Natlan, we can still converse normally. We do not need to enforce our opinions on each other. All I'm saying, you can accept other people's opinions. But that's where I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for watching. Please check out the channel, subscribe to support me, and hope you had fun in Natlan. See you in the next video. Goodbye.